Do we have a fun bit? Do we have bits? Are we funny people?
Mm-mm. I would probably
I
just.
don't think so. This is gonna be a good episode. So I do want to circle back and talk about the birthdays that are coming up.
I.
Olivia's birthday is at the end of this month. We're planning for that. My smart and beautiful wife, her birthday is coming up in March, so I'm planning that. I've started calling Mo my smart and beautiful wife like once a day, um,
Cute.
because it is very cute and fun and true. And Olivia heard me start doing it, and she, I guess, has requested that I call her my smart and beautiful daughter at least once a day.
Incredible.
So I do that now too.
Do
Which,
they reciprocate?
sometimes
Okay.
I'm a smart and beautiful dad. I'll take it.
All right.
What have you been getting up to, Rachel? What's the? It's been 2 weeks since people heard from you.
Yeah, it has. We got RSV. Um, that's
Wow.
that's my bit. Uh,
The end.
but and
Get it?
and we ended up in the ER. But
Oof, dude.
uh, yeah. So we are. I mean, they were like, the cough will last weeks after. I'm like, dope, which it's very true.
Yeah.
But apparently we're not contagious anymore. But yeah, the entire family got it,
Ugh.
and uh I'm not super sure if Linnea was just like coughing so hard, like LOL to your kid coughing so hard that she puked. Shout out to my kid now doing it.
Yep.
But I also I think she was kind of like choking on her mucus or whatever. But yeah,
Mm.
she woke up at 5 a.m. and Eric was fishing. And so I was alone and woke up to her vomiting everywhere. There was no, like, what
Uh,
really freaked me out is that there was no coughing really beforehand.
mm.
Um, and I just like I picked her up and she was just puking and puking and puking on me. And I wasn't gonna like set her down or whatever, so I just like held her while she vomed all over me.
Whatever,
And
man. When
yeah,
you once they're in it, you're in it. You know.
yeah, right, right. Like, does it
What
matter?
what's she gonna do? Puke on you? We've crossed this threshold already.
Honestly. And then she said like her whole body hurt, and I was like, "Fuck this,
Oh,
we're going to the ER."
yeah.
So didn't get
Ugh.
admitted or anything, but also found out that she had a double ear infection. Um,
Jeez, it's like the planet's sickest kid, man. What the hell?
I know. One of my friends in our
Uh,
like group chat or whatever was just like, God, she gets sick like a daycare kid, and I said, yeah, that's true, except for the fact that we don't have a second income, and I get no mental break.
isn't that cool?
Like, I'm in a super good mood, guys.
Yeah, we're loving it.
Yeah, yeah. So, no, we got RSV, still recovering, almost there. And my husband switched to a day shift, and because he was working like kind of second shift, I guess. And so now we are pretending to be a regular family,
Yeah.
and it's literally day one, and I'm just like
Oh wow.
super excited.
Yeah.
And like I dropped her off at mom's house while I groomed a dog, and then Eric
Hmm.
came home, and I ran to Target and I made us dinner, and then I had Eric set the table, and we sat down and had a
Wow.
meal, and
As a family,
as a family. I was
it
like, we're
wasn't.
sitting at the table,
It's not even
not the
Christmas.
counter. Not even Christmas. Um
Christmas.
and yeah, and so like, and then he was prepping her for bed, like like what we call bathroom bedtime stuff.
Oh yeah.
Um while I like cleaned up, and I was just like, look at us go. Um, you know,
Familying.
Family, we both got a heavy dose of 3-year-old Linnea. She is not three, but she is plays one on TV. And
She's just advanced.
so yeah, and I'm like, I keep telling myself because she's entered the 3 behavior early, that means we'll enter 4 behavior early. So
I mean,
it
maybe.
it won't be a year point 3 months, right?
Nah,
Don't
definitely not.
I will slit your throat.
Nah, I mean, I don't know. I only have the experience with the one kid who, was pretty on time for, I think, for everything as far as that developmental stuff went.
Yeah, I mean, she's yeah, it's like she's like 3 months ahead of time physically and mentally at all
Mm.
times.
At
Um,
all times. She's a fucking time traveler, this kid.
dude, I don't fucking know. Um, but yeah, we'll see. I am super nervous for 3.
Super
Um,
duper.
and it's rough timing with doing the eating disorder treatment, which
Oh,
has
yeah.
also kind of been put on hold while we were puking our faces off.
That makes sense.
Well, she was. I literally had my regular, of course, Missy, my regular therapy, and I coughed every 0.2 seconds. And
God.
I was just like, I cannot talk to anybody else. So I had to put the kibosh on that. But
All other things, yeah.
but so we are back on it, and we are normal familying it. We did some like evening activities last night, went
Wow.
swimming.
Wow.
Um
Hell
yeah,
yeah, dude. We're
yeah.
in new era. Well, I want to give a few shout outs to listeners who reached out in the last week or two here with some great feedback on previous episodes. I had a couple people talk to me about the kettlebell episode, which I knew would be not as popular as Fitness is Rebellion, which is okay.
Mm,
I just wasn't as. I do have another, like, I don't know if I want to call it like a heavy subject matter, but I do have another one that I wanted to get to. I just wasn't like in that. I didn't have the juice for it last week.
mm,
Um, I think I was a little bit worn out from Fitness's Rebellion and like that. So like that episode means a lot to me personally, and it obviously
yeah,
means a
it
lot
was.
to other people because I'm continuously getting positive reactions from it, which is really means a lot. And I had other people, specifically Isaac and Lizzie, reached out to me separately to tell me like you're doing a great job and to like show some support for the
Oh,
show, which is really nice. Yeah, because I know I've bitched before on the show that like no one talks to me about the show. That is changing, and I think that's because I'm complaining about it on the air, maybe, and
dude,
maybe
isn't that the worst? Like, are you
maybe
just doing it because? I will
nah
say, the complete opposite is that I was just like, if anybody else is having a hard time parenting, reach out. Crickets.
crickets. Maybe because I'm gonna say that's just because everyone's just having such a hard time. We don't have time to reach out.
Mm,
But I did have a lot of people in the Discord today reach out for this week's episode topic,
yes.
which we'll get to right after the jump.
Huh.
Yeah. Look exactly simultaneous. Oh, hey, oh. Welcome back to the RF Fitness podcast, brought to you by the RF Fitness, by RF Fitness. I always say the
Yeah.
RFFitness.net. By RFFitness.net, your source for online coaching built for and by busy grown-ups just like you who are on the quest for health and strength in everyday life. I'm your host, Rob Finlayson, certified older brother, fitness coach, and confirmed ADHD haver. And I'm here with my
Mm.
co-host.
Rachel Hammeroon, certified younger sister. And funny voice doer.
She sure is. This topic, this week's topic, you guys, is going to be ADHD and specifically how it relates to work and a career. Now, I want to preface this entire episode by saying I am not a doctor. I have not worked professionally with ADHD unless you count having ADHD and having worked professionally. But I think that's a little bit different. I did some very cursory research and found a pretty good document that I want to use as a reference point here. which is The Employer's Guide to ADHD in the Workplace from the Scottish ADHD Coalition.
That's the only place I go for my research.
Big Sam's bud. Which sounds very goofy, but it was one of the top links when I Googled ADHD in the workplace, and reading through the 7-page document, it actually, I think, provides a pretty good overview of points and talking points that I want to cover.
Shout out to the Scots.
Shout out to the Scots. I also reached out onto the Discord for some people because, hey, believe it or not, we have a number of hashtag neurospices who not only listen to the show, but who work with me on a personal and professional level. And we got some great feedback, great input from them. And I want to sort of address some of those things here as well. But basically, Rachael and I don't know if you guys know this, listener. Rachael and I have ADHD. We also have jobs and have for most of our lives. But so I want to answer a few questions basically about ADHD and our experiences. So I'm going to talk a lot real quick here, Rachael. If you have input, feel free to jump in like a true ADHD.
Okay, thank you.
And just blurt.
Blurt.
So the first question is, because like I've said before, you guys know how much I love to define a term. What is ADHD? Well, let me read right from the sheet here. ADHD is a neurodevelopmental condition affecting brain structure and neurotransmission, the way in which messages are communicated around the brain and different areas of the brain are activated. ADHD is thought to be caused by a complex mix of environmental and genetic factors, but is strongly a hereditary condition. ADHD is present from childhood, but an increasing number of adults are now being diagnosed with ADHD for the first time, having been missed when they were younger and the condition was not as well understood as it is now. I will say this is something that's come up a lot in the Discord and with my clients. ADHD has 3 core symptoms which affect people with it to different degrees, and this is where things are going to get interesting and messy. First one is inattention. This includes difficulties with concentration, short-term and working memory, difficulties with planning and getting started, parentheses activation, difficulty with organization and losing things, and being easily distracted by small things which others wouldn't notice. Number 2 is impulsiveness, acting or speaking on the spur of the moment without thinking through the consequences, and difficulty controlling emotions. I don't know what. And the third one is hyperactivity. Ooh, it starts this one out with whilst adults, right? Those Scots. Whilst adults with ADHD, I'm not going to do that, are usually much less active than children with ADHD. They may still have some symptoms such as restlessness and the need to tap or fidget. Again, wow. Some people are diagnosed with attention deficit disorder without hyperactivity. This is particularly the case for girls and women. And then it goes on to say some other statistics and things like that. Who has it and how does one get it was my other big question. If you
vaccines.
From vaccines, if you've seen the historical documentary Clone High, you get it from toilet seats. There's a whole song about it. But yeah, basically anyone can have it, but chances are if people in your family have it, you might have it too. And if you have it, chances are other people in your family have it too. And I think that works backwards, which I think is interesting because for me is one of those things where it's like, well, I have ADHD and I understand what these symptoms look like and feel like. Now the way dad is makes more sense.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like learning about yourself, it explodes the context of the rest of your life. The other big question
is dad knew he had ADHD.
I'm sure he never addressed it.
Right.
If he even suspected.
Mom knows.
Mom, we all know.
We all know mom knows.
We all know mom knows. My other question here, how does ADHD affect your work, either positively or negatively? The Scottish ADHD Coalition says that many people with ADHD are noted for strengths, and I love this because it's a long list, are noted for strengths such as the ability to hyper-focus on things they are interested in, willingness to take risks, being spontaneous and flexible, being good in a crisis, having creative ideas and thinking outside of the box, relentless energy, being often optimistic, being motivated by short term deadlines, working in sprints rather than marathons, and often having an eye for detail. I think that last one is really interesting too, because I feel like for a lot of people with ADHD, we sort of get like the rap is that you are inattentive, right?
Mm,
That you
mhm.
have no eye for detail, but I have not found that to be the case.
No.
Um, I think it's been described as like when so it's very interesting because I've probably said before on the show, like Mo has the least ADHD of anyone I've ever met.
Yeah,
She's
that is so interesting to me.
her brain just works very differently than mine, and I think we complement each other very well. And it's like when we approach like a scenario, a situation, or a problem with a solution mind, we look at it very differently. So
Mhm.
like I have such a wide view, like almost like a fisheye lens view of like whatever's going on at any given moment. And so I see details that Mo might miss, but they're like details on the periphery,
Mm,
like things on the
mhm.
edges here that do matter and do like have a, I would say, a maybe unexpected effect on like the workings of the entire machine here. Whereas Mo is much better. It's in like these are the details that are like put front and center for a reason, and here's why, and here's what they are. Like those are things that my eye tends to like skip right over because it's right in front of me. I guess like it's so much like someone in the
Yeah.
Discord said like the ADHD brain just takes like full bore like all information that your senses can collect at the same time, and there's not really a filter. And I think that's a really good way of kind of describing the experience of having ADD or ADHD. It's not necessarily that you have an actual deficit of attention. It's not like my brain doesn't make enough pay attention juice. It's that it's that there's nothing's getting filtered out. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's like it's like if a normal brain, a neurotypical brain is one TV upon which you can control the channels. ADHD is like you have 50 TVs all on at the same time, and you have the controllers for them somewhere. You don't know where they are, and you just have to be watching 50 shows at the same time. Your brain can't
Yes.
not until you
Yes.
develop some mechanisms or you have tools or you have modifications to your lifestyle and your workplace environment.
A lot of
Um,
rewinding, a lot of captions.
God, captions. We have captions on all the time on shows, and like Mo doesn't read them, and I can't not be reading them. It's
I mean, yeah,
wild
you
to
have
me.
to read them.
You have to, my eyes go to it. Right? I don't,
The words need to be read.
because like they'll say something and be like, shit, and she'll say like, wait, what'd they say? And it's like the captions are there. How are you not reading them? I know. I don't know. It's not often. It's like once in a blue moon. And I'm like, what's
Okay. All
happening?
right.
She also might be asleep on the couch. That happens sometimes too. We'll watch a show and she'll fall asleep and
Okay,
be
fair
like,
enough.
that show. Oh, well, what's going on?
Yeah, fair, fair, fair.
That's great. I love
Yeah,
you,
I think
darling. My smart and beautiful wife. I know you're listening.
I think something that I thought was just super normal, but
Mm,
I think is kind of ADHD. I also just really struggle with the fact that which I've said something along the lines of this, like essentially like any struggle or anything that I'm going through or whatever, I'm like, but everybody goes through it. Everyone's
sure.
just dealing with it better than me.
Mm,
Um I just, yeah, I don't know. But an example I think of good AD or a good example of ADHD is whenever I would study, um, specifically in college, probably because when I was in college, I was in my own place
yeah.
most of the time. But I could not study if I was in a messy room.
Huh.
Like I would have to clean the like organize like not like oh there's dust but like if things were disorganized or like whatever I would have like I would study in my room and I would have to like make the bed and put all the
Yeah.
clothes in the hamper and like that kind of thing because literally the periffs of it I'd just be like
Yes.
staring at the screen but then I'd be like this
Yeah.
needs to be done, this needs to be done, this just
Yep.
like like
And
I
that I
simply could
think
not.
that feeling what you're describing, I think, is echoed in some people in our Discord, and we'll get to those answers in a little bit about like the constant list in your brain of things
Oh god.
to be doing. And I have it too. I think, again, I think it's a very common ADHD thing because I've seen it posted about in other places where like your your brain has this constant list of like task I should be doing, task I am doing,
Mhm.
task that should be done. And it's like you can move between them, but they'll never stay the same like list. Like if I'm doing homework, my brain says, "No, you need to be doing laundry." And I'll say, "Okay." And then I'll go and doing my laundry. My brain says, "No, you need to be doing homework." And now it's like, "Well, I just was, and you said I needed to be doing the laundry instead. What the fuck are you talking about? Let me
Right.
win for something here. I need a goddamn W." And
But
people
while I
who
am on
are
my way to laundry, I'm gonna take the trash out, and while I take the trash out, I need to wipe out the trash can.
right, exactly, yeah. So it's like, I think I was talking to Mo about this not too long ago, where um, I feel like a very common pit that we fall into, we people with ADHD fall into a lot, is having like 5 things going at once, but they're all like 60% done. Like not like
Mhm.
lack of follow through. I think is how lack of follow through is how it would probably be characterized on, say, a quarterly performance review. Talking about the workplace.
Right.
Um, what's been good about my mechanisms of just owning my own small business. I'm trying to think of as I talk here.
Okay.
My mechanisms that I have developed, like the solution to my problem was just to employ myself, basically. And
Mm, yeah.
I think it's a very common thing for a lot of ambitious people with ADHD. Is that I can have 5 projects at 60%. And if I'm hopping between them at least kind of evenly, they'll progress at around the same pace as well. So like I won't go from 0 to 100% on a task, but I'll go like 0 to 75 on one, 0 to 60 another, 0 to 80 another, and then
Right.
when I need to, I can wheel back around and hit this other one because I have to follow that dopamine train. I have to surf the wave basically in order to get anything done. I have to surf the wave. Whenever I'm trying to do work admin stuff, I have like 4 tabs open of 4 different tasks because my
Mhm.
brain says we're done writing right now. You need to be doing programming. And I said, okay, let's do some programming. And it's like, you're done programming. You need to engage with clients. You need to talk to people. And it's like, okay, I'm going to go do that. I can just, and these are all things that need to get done, but I'm not going to spend like X amount of minutes doing specific task Y so that I can hit marker Z or whatever. It's just so
Right.
not a brain style that is, I think, well suited to like a corporate environment, to like a normal,
No. Yeah.
which is interesting because we had someone answer in the Discord who very much so works in a corporate environment, and she's I think thriving in there from the way she talks about it. Um, but Rachel, I'm interested to know in your field of work, how would you say that ADHD has affected positively or negatively your ability to work?
Um, work for someone, it is
Mm.
so great to have ADHD as a dog groomer. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think dog groomers are weirdos. Um,
Yeah.
and I think because it is mostly a commission based career, that I can't do things to 75%. It has to be
Right.
to 100%.
Right.
I've always said I am jealous, though I don't think I would survive a job that I would say, I'm just going to wrap this up tomorrow
Mm.
because that's somebody's dog.
You can't just put it away for a day.
Correct.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
save ass. Um,
Safe as the dog. Woof. Away he
this
goes.
haircut. Um, So, I mean, it's really nice. It's also a pretty fast paced work
Yeah.
environment. If you're working for somebody else, time management is definitely
Hmm.
really, really tough. When you're working at a salon, you're normally doing two dogs at a time, sometimes three. And
Yeah.
so that can be tough, but also at the same time, when I'm also working one on one, like I do at home, I'll tend to groom significantly slower than I would in a regular
Mm,
salon experience, because I can.
yeah.
And I mean, I guess like the physicality of it, like of grooming, is ADHD benefits it.
Yeah.
But like writing notes and that kind of thing, or talking to clients and being a total weirdo,
Yeah.
uh, which some people love. So I don't know.
Some people do.
People love this flavor, and
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm definitely yeah, which I've talked about on the pod before, that I'm not like, oh my god, that's such a cute
Yeah.
baby. But yeah, I think I personally think ADHD people tend to be more social, more outgoing. Um,
I think that's
we
pretty
can
well
like,
documented. Yeah.
yeah, like we can just like shoot the shit better. Um,
Mm,
in my opinion, the gift of gab, and which pays off a lot in a customer service based workplace or
yes.
whatever. Um, but the funny thing is that there are normally two types of groomers that put all of their tools away and like line it up, and
Mm,
like their
sure.
shears are blah blah blah, and that's the way I need my homework to be done and like that kind of stuff. But like most of the groomers that I know, we just like, and our shears are $200 $300 a pair, our clippers are
Yeah.
$200 to $500, and we just whip that shit around and
Yeah.
like put them in a pile. We're spilling coffee all over it.
Jesus.
But because it is so fast paced that we have no time to like
Yeah.
be, but yeah, I think overall it's beneficiary that I have to complete my work.
Right.
Um, and there's multiple people holding me to it, the owner, my boss,
Yeah.
um, and myself. I to go home, I need to finish this
Yeah.
dog.
Definitely.
um, so yeah, I think commission based and like more physical jobs, like I don't know, like construction or something, though
Personal
you can
training.
say, yeah, right, like okay, well, I'm done with this session. I know we're only 75% in, but I'm kind of over
Well,
it.
okay. So listen, don't tell my boss, but often I end sessions early because we've done it all.
We're
I have,
recording.
that's fine. I don't think he listens anyways. But if he does, whatever. I still get rave reviews
Fuck that
from all
guy.
my clients. I'm
Oh no, we're actually talking
extremely
about your real boss. Okay, I
my
thought we
real
were
boss.
like
Oh, my
LOL
fake
because you're the
boss?
boss. Okay.
No, oh yeah, no, sorry, the where I train at Soda.
Ah, right.
Yeah. I will often end those sessions like 5 6 minutes early. And these are like 30-minute sessions. So that's like whatever percentage of a session. But we're like done. Like
Fair.
the type of training and that I put my clients through, you get it done in
Hell.
25 minutes. It's not hell. They're fine. It's darned heckin' hard. Um, I think that is, and so the thing about that too, talking about kettlebells and the benefits of them. A lot of my training at the gym, surprise, is very kettlebell heavy, kettlebell focused. And I've had many clients who come to me. Sometimes our clients at Soto, they'll like kind of see different trainers on different days of the week just because of who's available, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll say like your workouts, Rob, feel very different than other people. They are
Hmm.
very challenging in like a different way. Like it's not like it's way heavier and it's not like I'm sprinting super hard, but it feels like I'm constantly moving. That's like the note that people give me a lot. Is like it feels like I'm never actually resting. I was like, yeah, you're not supposed to be. You're supposed to be moving. So like
No run.
it's no good running. And I lift up my chainsaw and say, no run. But I think like that's because I'm constantly moving. Like I'm
Right.
always
Yes, you
going.
are.
Yeah, I sure am. I just such a poster kid for having like the hyperactivity part of ADHD. Like even in the like, so I like one of the things that I love about being a personal trainer is that it is, like you said, very physical. I'm like moving weights around and I'm not working out for a living. I don't know what people think being a personal trainer is actually like. I'm not doing the workouts with them. I have like 8 clients in a day. That's fucking impossible. Do 8
Right.
workouts in a day. Forget about it. But I'm like setting weights up and I'm demonstrating movement. So I'm doing like, 4 reps at a time, whatever, however many times a day, however many times I demonstrated a movement in a shift.
Demonstrating fitness is a workout.
It is. It's a lot of steps in my day. It's a lot of movement. But even with that in there, I'm still fidgeting all the time during sets, in between sets. I'm like stepping up and down off of
Yes.
benches.
Oh God,
I'm
you're
like,
like tiny parkours.
yeah, yes.
Just
And I'm like, I gotta like
constantly
I gotta like
tiny parkouring.
I gotta like touch every weight. If there's a med ball, I gotta smush it. If I gotta kick it, if there's a kettlebell, I gotta lift it up and move it. The worst is like the PVC pipes that you have in some ones. If I get my hands on a PVC pipe, forget about it. It's Ninja
Just
Turtle. It is Ninja Turtle time for the next until you need this away from me. Because I'll be doing the shoulder unlocks. I'll be doing overhead squats with it. I'm doing sword shit. I'm doing ninja skills, man.
who has the stick? Does
Donatello.
anybody have the stick? Okay, yeah.
Donatello has the bow staff. Yes. But yeah, like it's just that. Like years ago at the YMCA, I was training with a client who had been seeing for like a year or something like that. So she was very cool. And I think I told her like, oh yeah, so I have ADHD, just like in conversation. She's like, oh, because you don't stop moving our entire session. She's like, every time I look over while I'm resting or getting water or in the middle of a workout, you are stretching or doing a little workout. You're hopping around. You're
Mini
picking things.
parkouring.
Or you're doing mini parkours. And this is like 5 years ago, I think that she told me this. And like, I think about that now every time I catch myself like boxing on a fucking
Oh
medicine
my
ball.
God.
I can't stop. But it gets my clients a banging workout because I'm never stopping moving. They're never
Right,
stopping moving. Like the energy flows
for sure.
through, and like you said, like having um a high, I always think of it as having like a high charisma score,
Hmm.
a natural charisma bonus.
Charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent.
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, do you not watch Drag Race ever?
No.
Ew. They in
Ew.
RuPaul's Drag Race, they always say you have the charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent, which spells,
Got it.
yeah.
Um, that's not something I was aware of, so I'm sorry.
Oh.
No, I was thinking of charisma in like Dungeons and Dragons terms. It's a skill on your skill sheet that you can be good at
Mm.
talking to people. Charisma. And I do think it's interesting that you brought it up, having the natural gift of gab, because I feel like that's not something I have naturally about certain things. Because if
Yeah, you struggle with small talk.
yes, I'm not interested in just talking about whatever. I have hyperfixations I want to talk about. I will bring up Dungeons and Dragons. I will bring up jujitsu. I will bring up fitness if I possibly can, because those are the things that I'm interested in for the most part. However, there's a book I read years ago as part of my like personal development as a trainer that literally changed my life. There's two uh I don't know, processes that like changed my life and like how like made me better at conversing.
Hmm.
One of them was this book. It was motivational interviewing for diet and nutrition. And it was basically a book for coaches about how to ask questions, like the correct type of questions in the correct type of way to
Mm.
get people to give themselves answers.
Hmm.
This was specifically about coaching for nutrition. And it cracked my brain wide open. It was like, whoa, like it's a lot of like reflecting answers back to people, asking more open-ended questions. And it's a lot of like what I do on the podcast here. Like if you know anything about motivational interviewing and you listen to this podcast, you've probably heard me doing it this entire, because that's what this surprise, Rachel, has been motivational interviewing this entire time.
What?
Yes, open-ended questions, reflecting things back at you, asking why, digging deeper all the time. And I found that I really, really, really like that. Like I find that's a super interesting way to talk to people, because I'm not like you said, I'm not good at small talk. I'm not interested in small talk. And it's hard for me to find things necessarily with quote unquote regular people to have in common to talk deeply about,
Mm,
because I don't give a shit about sports. Hard no on sports. But people love talking about themselves, and I love learning about people.
yeah.
So I'll just ask people questions about themselves, and then we're off and running, and that's pretty great. And then the other experience that I had that changed how I spoke with people was studying abroad in Mexico for a semester in college. Because I went there for however many months to study Spanish language, and my Spanish was like okay. It was pretty good for like a kid in Duluth when I was studying it. It was not great in Mexico.
Fair.
In like semi-rural, almost kind of rural, not really rural. It's Cuernavaca if anyone knows where that is, but it's like medium-ish town, Mexico. And what that forced me to do was to shut the fuck up and listen to people's entire thought process
Mm,
before even formulating my own thought.
that makes
And
sense.
coming back to the States, that was huge for me, because something that people brought up in the Discord about having ADHD was that we process information way faster than a neurotypical brain does, because we're so used to getting so much information all the time that our brain is like on hyper speed basically. So like if someone starts a sentence, I
Oh,
I usually know where it's going.
yes, I finish sentences so much.
And I've tried very hard to train myself not to. One, because I fucking hate when people finish my sentences
Yeah.
and interrupt me.
Yes.
I hate it so much. Um, and because I don't want to do it to other people, and two, because I think it's just generally disrespectful. So I'm not going to listen to your entire sentence. And three, because people can surprise you. Like even if I think I know where we're going with this and I'm right 95% of the time, there's that 5% where it's like, this wasn't what I thought. And if I jump the gun and finish the sentence for them, they could, one, just say, yeah, that is what I was going to say. And then I don't get the real story. Or
Mm,
two, they're going to think this guy thinks he knows everything. And whether or not they give me the full story after that, I've destroyed trust in that moment, which for someone who's usually in those conversations trying to make a sale or trying to like maintain a client relationship is bad
right.
for a coach's
Yeah.
position to be in. Because that's
Mine
what
is
coaching
I just
is.
want to like talk faster so we can get more content into this conversation. So like
Yes, I know. We know.
please talk faster.
Which is why my power move is talking slower.
Ew.
Ew. So in college, I took a course in Native American literature and poetry,
Dope.
which was not required for anything, but it was very cool. It was very
Hmm.
insightful and eye opening into
Did you
that
read
from that
Braden
perspective.
Sweetgrass?
We did not.
Mm,
We read a lot more poetry, and one of the things that I read in one of these selections was a guy talking about um, what it's like to talk to white people, and how white people love to give you way more information than is necessary, and all you have to do is be quiet, because
yeah.
he says white folks cannot abide silence in conversation. They will fill it with anything they possibly can, any fact, any words, any trivia, anything that's going on in their lives, their husbands' lives, what they need to be talking at all times.
Absolutely.
And I read that in college. I was probably like 23, and I was like, huh. And I started like being quiet for longer periods of time in conversations and noticing like, holy shit, people do really just fill this up, don't they? Like you get
Yeah.
so, and
Yeah.
it's interesting too. Again, as and I've used this in my coaching and in my motivational interviewing, is like sometimes what you need to do to get more information out of someone is to ask a pulling question or to give a pushing statement. Sometimes what you need to do is just leave a gap and let them fill it. And
I do that with
that's,
parenting.
yes, it's huge. Just be quiet and listen has been so key to my development as a person, as a coach, and as someone with ADHD. It's been a huge game changer because I feel like it's not, it's so ADHD is, you could call it an invisible disability, right?
Right.
If you wanted to call it a disability at all, I, well, we all have our own thoughts on that, whatever. I also don't think it's that invisible if you know what you're looking for, or more likely listening for, because they're going to talk very fast, shut down for things that aren't interesting to them, to us. Um, if you know what you're looking for, I'm moving all the time. I'm tapping. My leg is shaking. Again, in college, freshman year, we were in a class, and it was like one of the first days ever, and we were in an acting class. And I remember listening to the professor talk about something, and we were walking on after class, and I was talking to one of the other students, and I mentioned to him that I have ADHD. And it's like, oh, that makes sense because your knee didn't stop bouncing for the entire hour and
Mhm.
20 minutes we were in class. Like he's like, I watched it. It never stopped. Did you know you he was like, were you doing that on purpose? And I was like, I didn't even know it was happening, dude.
Right.
That is news to me. And I feel like that's a common occurrence, or a common enough occurrence for people with especially ADHD, especially men. Because like the thing says, like the
Right.
ADD thing is, you see that more commonly in women for whatever reason. I don't, again, I'm not a doctor. But the fellows with the ADHD, we just got them wiggles. We got to get
I
them
got
wiggles out.
brain wiggles.
Got them brain wiggles. And I know actually that's a really good point, Rachel, that you bring up, because I think, because for me, it feels like when I get my wiggles, it feels like I have like worms under my skin and I have to be
Mhm.
moving to make the worms stop. If you don't know if you don't have ADHD, that sounds like a fucking nightmare scenario right now. And
If
I'm
you don't have
sorry.
ADHD and you're not an addict,
Right. Yeah. You never, if you don't have ADHD, how have you listened to this many episodes of our
yeah,
show and
honestly.
followed along? Welcome, fellow newer spicy. I know you're listening. But yeah, it feels like there's like caterpillars in my muscles, and I need to be like all the time. So I wonder if for you it feels the same, but it's in your brain. You have to get those words, those ideas out.
Correct.
Okay, see, that's a really interesting frame of reference for me to understand, because it's such a physical experience for me. And I do obviously still have like the cognitive stuff that happens with that. Like I get brain caterpillars, but not as often, and I think probably not as strongly as it sounds like you do.
Yeah. Yeah, something that I have talked about for the last couple weeks,
Mm,
to calm some of the brain wiggles,
okay.
is to just write a list of whatever is currently on my mind before I go to bed.
Oh, okay.
Because when I am trying to fall asleep, it is just I gotta call the dentist. I gotta
Mm,
do like, I have to find list this on the buy nothing group. I need to check the status of this package. I need to,
yep.
and I cannot shut it off. And let me tell you, they have tried 3 different medications.
Did they work?
None of them stop the brain wiggles.
The Wiggles. The Wiggles are too strong.
And then it's just like the medication is just like makes this really one intense wiggle that's just like, why aren't you sleeping, why aren't you sleeping, why aren't you
That's the
sleeping,
worst, dude. Yeah.
you're on
God,
medication, why aren't you sleeping?
that sucks. Okay, so I do want to jump to the Discord here. So yeah, that first question, The one to answer for ourselves and with the Discord was, has ADHD positively or negatively affected your ability to work? For me, I would say overall positively. That's very much because of the field that I'm in, of the career that I have, and because of the choices that I've made around work. Rachel, it sounds like you feel very similar.
Yes.
Okay. Friend of the show, Amanda, says that same question, positively and
She
negative
she's
ability to work.
essayed us, man, in the best way
It's
possible.
great. And you know what?
ESSAY.
Yes. And it kicked off because a couple other people also gave their own essays, which I love. Thank you very much. She says both. Having ADHD means that I'm able to process things at a faster rate than my peers. That's what we're talking about. Since my brain is already attuned to analyzing a large influx of material from signals and messaging in daily life. Can you tell Amanda is smart as fuck, by the way, with
Dude,
just the way she writes things?
yes.
I'm more aware of nuance. I'm able to handle a higher volume of tasks and function due to the bursts of productivity when my neurospicy brain is on. I also have an easier time taking a leadership role since I'm naturally inclined to ask questions and propel work forward / keep busy. So using those wiggles to your advantage, it becomes ADHD becoming a superpower, which I love. And she says, on the flip side, it's extremely difficult to plan when those bursts of productivity happen and capitalize them according to my schedule.
Mm.
Harsh. Been there. Which means there's also numerous times where I feel like I don't know where to start on particular projects, and I second guess myself a lot based on personal feedback, new information being presented, or general anxiety thinking about all the different contingency plans if my first pass isn't accepted. And I I feel that bigly
Oh
to
my
use
god.
the good. Can you tell I'm smart as fuck from the way I use my words?
Honest.
I feel that bigly. Um
Big time.
big time, dude. I So yes, okay. So using burst, like burst energy burst, because that's very much what it feels like. I especially in for me, because my business is all either I'm doing it or it's not happening.
Yes.
There'll be times where I get this like golden hour of like inspiration, hyper productive, and it's just like I'm like in the zone for a while, and then sometimes it's like "Brrrt," it stopped, and it's like, well, I have like 2 hours left to be productive here before I have to do other things. I need to be crunching something out. And for me, that's why I have like several tabs open all the time or like several different
Hmm.
projects going all the time. So like when that juice runs out for one thing, I can jump to another. But that's not something you can do necessarily in a corporate environment where you have expectations and jobs and managers and whatever looking over your shoulder, checking your productivity all the time.
Right.
Um, Obviously, from the sounds of it, Amanda's doing very well.
It sounds like when you're playing CTR and you get a mystery box and you get the Ooga Booga mask and you don't know if you're gonna get the Ooga Booga mask and all of a sudden you're like super speeding through and you're like, oh my god, I gotta take advantage of this Ooga Booga mask. And then you either like get really far ahead of the race or you crash at a really high speed.
Yeah, it sounds just like that. Yeah, you're right.
All right.
Moving on, question number 2. Do you think it has influenced your career choices and history? That's kind of the same question, but I mean, obviously, we just talked about that. Yes, I think it has.
God.
So I'm so good at words, you guys. Um,
Bigly.
I feel that bigly. Bree answered this question. I mean, Bree answered all the questions, but Bree answered this question. I like her answer. Did it affect your choices? And she says yes, 100%. The best part about working in the events industry is that every single day is different. Literally, different events, different talks, different content, etc. Week-long event, different people talking about different things. Sometimes it's different equipment to test my brain. Sometimes the signal routing is different. Where do the cables go? How are we routing this? Do I have all my content? I love moving around. So being able to set stuff up and tear it down is fun. I can sometimes get bored just sitting around on show days, but that's where one AirPod has become my best friend to listen to a book.
Mm-hmm.
I've literally never loved a job so much, and I'm very grateful to have found this career at 16. Like, really grateful.
Hey, I also found my career at 16.
I didn't, but I'm glad you found it, Brie
Thank
and
you.
Rachel. Yeah, yeah. I think that's a really good description of like having both brain and body wiggles. I think that's what we're calling them now, is wiggles.
I think so.
Yeah. I have found that there's certain activities and types of activity that feels like it's scratching an itch in my brain. Like my brain gets itchy. And there's certain things where it feels like Like when you get a really good itch and it's like, when you really get in there, that's how it feels in my brain when like I'm having a really good day at jujitsu
Mm.
or I'm hitting like a flow state with not a flow state. That's an exaggeration, but I'm hitting like a good rhythm on like designing things in Canva for like my content or for my
Shout out to
whatever.
your child's birthday party invite, future career.
Dude, I loved designing those. It was very fun and easy for me.
I think if you need a invitation designed, hit up my bro.
Hit me up, guys. I will do it probably just for free. I've done two of them now, and it was
I'm
pretty good.
so obsessed with mine. I'm like, I have to print these
I'm
and then
glad you did.
send them to the person that created them.
It was worth it because I loved holding it in my hands. When were you? Sorry, question 3. When were you diagnosed? Did that timing make a difference for you? So I don't think we talked about this one. So I was diagnosed with ADD when I was like 8 or something. I want to say maybe 8 or 9, pretty young. I remember being on Ritalin while in daycare.
Hmm.
I remember having to take it at kinder care. So that would have been like 4th grade or earlier, I want to say. So whatever age range that is. And then
Why would we
ADHD,
be in kindercare in grade school?
I don't know. Why not?
Because we would be in after school care. Kids club. Are you talking about kids club?
No.
Kindercare is 5 and under before grade school starts.
I don't know, man.
Mom.
I don't know. Mom will know. Mom will probably be able to tell like when I was diagnosed with ADD, ADHD. But that comes with a whole other suite of pluses and minuses to a lot of my people who I talk to who are diagnosed in adulthood in their 20s, 30s, and beyond. And it's becoming way more common. Like people are like, oh, well, this explains so much. Like, holy shit, all these things. And I feel like social media, one of the very few plus sides of it is that like these experiences, like this way of living, this way of experiencing reality has become common enough amongst users on social media that people who have it and didn't know are seeing these descriptions of things and
Mm-hmm.
being like activated, like, whoa. Like you say, doesn't everyone feel this way? Is this what
Yes.
everyone's doing? The answer is no.
That's
And
hard for
it's,
me to believe.
well, that's because you live inside of your brain and everything
My
you
wiggle brain.
experience in your wiggly ass brain, man. For me, it was almost the opposite. I always believed like, oh, like I have to be the only person feeling this way. I have to be the
Mm,
only person who's dealing with this. Felt like a freak.
yeah. It's a lot like my
That was the fun part about having ADHD as a little kid, was feeling like a freak, like
little kid.
like a broken freak. That was awesome.
Oh man.
Um, yeah.
I
How
felt
about
really happy.
did you? Like I said, we had a great time. When were you ever officially diagnosed, Rachel, or did you get one when you were a kid?
Apparently. I don't know. My I
At some
can't
point,
remember.
they just kind of floated
Um
it in.
I I I'm not even gonna guess, bro. I'm
Okay,
literally not even gonna. I'm just gonna ask my mommy.
that's my mommy.
I was like something or another when I was on ADHD meds, and my and mom was just like, "You were never on ADHD meds."
Ooh,
I was like, "Oh shit! All right."
all right. Probably because I had very bad times with them. I had very negative
That is what she
reactions,
said. Yes,
experiences. Yes, it was not
yes.
good. Let's see. So yeah, when did you find out? Basically, when were you diagnosed? Colin says I was diagnosed pretty late in life, around 24ish years old. It explained a lot of my past history and stuff. It was great to know that I'm a normal zebra and not a failed horse. I love that language. That's so
Hmm.
good. Being a yeah, right, a normal zebra, not a failed horse. Such a relief. But it also meant that I spent so much time struggling unnecessarily and developing my own tools to try and play this shitty game called life on hard mode the whole time, feeling like a constant failure despite my best efforts.
Yeah.
Well, Colin, I can tell you that even as someone who was diagnosed with it as a child, that
Still
ha-
suck.
that happens anyways. But you
Bigly
just
sucks.
it sucks bigly, but you just feel like you're stupid. It's like, well, weren't the pills supposed to fix my stupid? And it didn't. You just get like clinically depressed
You
instead.
just feel like a zebra horse.
And you just gain a bunch of weight and you lose a bunch of weight. And it's just not a good time. It's just not awesome for like an 11-year-old to be like, I just kind of want to end it all the time in middle
Mhm.
school. It was
Amen.
a dude, I had a fucking bad time. Anyways, where were we? What's advice would you tell someone with ADD or ADHD looking for work in your field? And this is where we're getting
Do it.
more specifications. So your advice, Rachel, is just to do it.
Yeah, I think so many people should be dog groomers.
Why?
Because it's a dope ass career.
You complain about it all the time. You have
Rude.
hair on your lungs, dude.
Well, you know.
It's gonna be a pass for me. A hard pass for me. For fitness, I would say go ahead and do it as well. If you can angle yourself correctly and find a place that allows you to do things at your pace and your way, and you have the ability to I'm not going to say to self-start because that pops up in a lot of like job application things, be a self-start or whatever. If you can self-organize with ADHD, then it becomes a superpower. And you're like,
Yeah.
when you get that Ooga Booga mask and you get that burst and you know where to put that energy, kerblowy, dude.
Kerblowy indeed.
Succeeding bigly. Bigly something's going to be the name of this fucking episode. I just know it.
But we have to Wiggles Bigly, just like in like asterisks.
Bigly wiggling. All right, so I want to read Colin's answer to this question because I think it's good.
Okay.
Find something like I did. He works for the military. He says, find something like I did, where the organization allows for lateral movement. Search for a gig that isn't static and repetitive. I've enjoyed how my day-to-day is variable and exciting, generally presenting new challenges. At the same time, it's good to recognize that you will get gifted kid burnout, and you will master things at some point and lose that job satisfaction you had before. So recognize that you have to plan around it and anticipate it and plan for it. Also,
Is he the one in Alaska?
Yes.
ADHD, sorry.
Yeah. Yep. Well, there you go. Also recognize that when you pull a part off a jet, you're not able to plug the replacement back in. You're not going to remember how it goes. So take notes and take pictures. That's a really good note. Make and implement the tools you need, even if it's quote unquote weird to everyone else. You're a normal zebra, so use your zebra tools. That's such good advice.
Is he in the Air Force?
Sorry, Colin. I can't remember. I know you work with airplanes.
Sounds like you hate Colin.
That's definitely it. I know he's not even airplane adjacent. He's like literally inside of the guts of airplanes. It's very cool.
I mean, if he's working on airplanes and he's in Alaska, I bet you he's in the Air Force.
Okay. Well,
sounds like he forces
Colin, that's what my sister says. So you can tell her how wrong she is.
Yeah, Colin, you're in the Air Force.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and read everyone's answers because they're all so good. Bree says the same question, advice. She says, oh man, find your obsession and run with it. I love this answer. I love that. There's always something new to learn. Isn't that amazing? Learn to cope with things being different and random shit popping up at the last minute. Sometimes it can be hard at first to keep calm when a presenter is like, I made 100 changes. Here's a new slide deck. Eventually just accept it, nod, and swap things out. It's insane how stressed I am, but how actually calm I am at the same time. Also, try not to get overwhelmed by the noise level of ballrooms. People are loud. Stay focused on your stuff, and you're good. There's some really good nodes in here. Being stressed and calm at the same time is something I see a lot with, like, talking about ADHD and how crisis management, being good in a crisis, is there. Like, I've seen it. I've been the guy who's weirdly cool-headed when things are flying off the chain. Okay.
Very strong example, which is very sad. The dog is okay. Everybody settle down.
Okay.
When a dog got loose.
Oh, yes.
And ran into, well, this is like one of 15. A lot of loose dogs in my career. And the dog ran into Main Street on Forest Lake, and I was first, and the chick behind me was like, the groomer, and she was screaming at the top of her lungs, and like, in what world is this helping?
Oh God, I
Um,
know, right?
and I remember watching that dog bounce under the minivan twice, and
Ooh.
her just screaming, and I like turned around and yelled at her, and I was like, "You shut the fuck up!" And
Yeah.
the minivan driver stopped, which was very nice, and I just like whipped open the back of her van, and I was like, "Jackie, get in! You're taking this dog to the vet!" Like,
Oh my God.
completely taking over the situation,
You just
and
take control. And again, I think it's because our brains are so used to having so much information all the time that like when something goes like horribly awry, all of a sudden, like your brain already computes things at that speed,
hmm
and the typical brain like short circuits a little bit because of this is so outside of the norm. This is so not what I was expecting. I am so not equipped for this.
yes,
And then it's like fight or flight or stand around and scream.
yes,
And
yeah.
that's
I
gonna
remember when
not are helpful.
after our house burned a lot.
Yes.
Um,
A lot. Not quite
well,
down.
it didn't burn down.
Yeah.
But yeah, Eric was at work and I was the one to find it or whatever. And it was probably like 30, 45 minutes after the discovery that Eric was able to get off work and pull up. And I remember him pulling up and I was sitting in the back of some vehicle talking to a firefighter. And he was just like, "What the fuck is happening?"
Yeah.
And I was just like, "We had a fire."
Just the facts.
And he was just like, what the
Yeah. Yeah, man.
I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
how's work?
Short. You're welcome, by the way, for getting out early.
Yeah, right.
You know. Amanda. We had three big answers when I answered all these questions here, and
Bigly
Amanda's
answers.
bigly answers. God, I
Never let it die.
fucking hate myself. Amanda says, set yourself up for success by
Mm.
redefining success metrics. Very smart. Get gratification. If you get gratification from checking things off a list, sending an email counts as a task. Need to quiet a racing mind? Calendar block your schedule for walks midday throughout the day. Have anxiety because who doesn't right now? Eat protein more and more often. So smart. So smart, Amanda. Thank you so much. I love that first
Take
one.
walks, eat protein.
Take walks, eat protein. Set yourself up for success by redefining success metrics. And I feel like that's not just an ADHD thing. I think that's a good overall
Oh, yeah.
life skill, mental health thing. I can't count the number of times Mo has told me I need to redefine my success metrics, especially early on when I was at home
Mm.
with Olivia so much because like
hmm
Mo would go to work and she'd be gone for, the 10 hours, whatever ungodly amount of time they have teachers for. And like I'd have the kid and like I'd keep her changed and fed, take her to preschool, take her to activity, maybe an appointment. Like I'd clean the house, maybe give the dog a bath, make food for everyone, and Mo get home after everything. I was like, yeah, but I didn't get shit done today.
Yep.
Like I feel like such a fucking loser. I didn't do an email. I didn't make a sale today. I didn't get a new client. Like I'm just falling so far behind. I'm not crushing. I'm failing bigly.
Story of my life.
Yeah. And she's like, well, no, you cared for a baby all day. You kept your infant alive and happy. You
Right.
made food for us.
You
You
didn't
walked the
throw it out the
dog.
window.
Correct. And that took so many years. Thank you, my smart and beautiful wife, for being in
So
my
smart,
corner.
so
Like
beautiful.
she is. I love her so much, dude. She's the fucking best. Couldn't have done that without you, babe.
Babe.
Bab.
Okay, we gotta wrap this up, bro.
Yeah, I think that's about it. That's all I got for you. So having ADHD in a job, it is possible. There are some career fields that work better for it than others. There are modifications you can make to any career field to set yourself up for success if you have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.
That is shocking that people with ADHD would even go for a corporate job.
I mean, paying the bennies, man. You can't argue with that. Got bills.
Yeah, true.
If you get in, you get in.
Why not
Anyways,
work a physically low-paying job like us?
why not just sell your body to
Come
your
on.
career? Come
I always say
on.
that I'm going to teach Linnea how to do nail trims because if she knows how to do nail trims, she doesn't have to do tricks.
Do trims, not tricks.
Yeah.
Put that on a t-shirt. This has been the RF Fitness Podcast. Yes, I am available for online and now in-person coaching at a very limited scope for in-person. To find out if it's right for you, head to rffitness.net. That's rfitness.net. And then scroll all the way to the bottom of that page to see what kind of coaching I offer. If you're interested in one-on-one in-person coaching, reach out to me more directly, either via email or on socials, or DM me on Discord. Call me on my phone.
On my home phone.
Don't do that.
Leave a voicemail.
You should do the client application that's on the website and hit join the party on the website to jump into our community Discord server for free, where we got a lot of these answers from our really smart and beautiful listeners here.
If you want to be smart and beautiful, be on Discord.
Join the wild suffrage movement. Our theme music is Funk AF by Everett Ullman, distributed by YouTube Studios. Thank you guys for listening, and as always,
keep questing.
Keep questing.